Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. As you probably know, the Davos Forum ended. It had its sessions this week, and it's done. The problem is a lot of things happened on the global scale, and according to some experts, the Davos and the globalist agenda is taking a nosedive. So let's read this little article that I think is very, very interesting. Very interesting. This article comes from Sputnik, so obviously put your Russian lenses on so you don't get too propagandized. And this article is from today, the 21st of January 2023. Globalization has died, and Davos 2023 was its funeral ceremony. Scholars sum up. So this is according to some experts that globalization has died, and Davos 2023 was its funeral ceremony. You can say that globalization, as of now, is on stop. Why? Because um, all this interconnection between the biggest powers and the economies and all that is disrupted at this point with Russia's um, conflict. So let's see what these experts are saying. The World Economic Forum's annual meeting took place in Davos in January 16 until 20th of 2023. International observers sat down with Sputnik to formulate the main message of the gathering in a nutshell. And I'm quoting: this year's forum featured the new state of the world: divided, resentful, and grim. Unquote. Gal Luft, director of the Washington based Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, told Sputnik, and I'm quoting again: Davos has become the dressing room of the West and is more divorced than ever from the rest. It no longer represents the real concerns of most of the world's population. Its obsession with climate change, social justice, gender, and other forms of wokeness has made it a laughing stock and target of disdain for most of the world. End quote. Now, I have to confess that, or maybe you're aware, that these ideas of wokeness that are tried to be pushed here in the Western countries, and only in the Western countries, for some, well, whatever reason, we know the reason, but hey, you too, we can say that. It's not, let's say, in Zambia, or I don't know, Nicaragua, or I don't know, my friends in Zimbabwe. Non existent. I wonder why. The World Economic Forum, WEF, an international non-governmental and lobbying organization, was founded in January 1971 by German economist Klaus Schwab. Initially, the entity was called, and I'm quoting, European Management Forum. It changed its name to the World Economic Forum in 1987, so I guess they expanded. Bringing together business executives, thought leaders, and preeminent politicians, the forum sought to become a global platform to spearhead the idea of globalization and solve pressing economic and political dilemmas. However, some Western commentators observed that the forum quickly morphed into a theocratic globalist elitist club which sought to dictate rules for the rest of the world. This is according to some, right? And I'm quoting: globalization was based on the premise of broad acceptance of global institutions, norms, and rules, as well as reasonably free flow of goods, money, and information, end quote, Luft said, and I'm quoting again. Each one of those have been compromised over the past few years, first with the US-China decoupling and second with the war in Europe. Instead, we have global bifurcation into camps. But I was talking about the two clubs, the main club with United States and the forming club, Russia, China, India, on the BRICS, basement, or not basement, foundation. Instead, we have global bifurcation into two camps: the collective West plus honorary members and all the others, and the emergence of new institutions, alliances, financial instruments, trade blocs, and priority sets. End quote. And I'm quoting again, there is no return to the post World War II system. In addition, we are seeing massive repudiation of some of the institutions and individuals who have been most associated with globalization, the media, Davos, entertainment industry, etc. Deglobalization can also be seen along cultural fault lines. Western ideas, ethics, and values, in quotation marks, are rejected by billions who see them as dangerous and destabilizing. The US scholar continued. Well, when I say here Western ideas and ethics, don't include logic and, fact-based argumentation, all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when he talks about it, talks about the new pushed values. Now, Russia's independence doesn't fit in the Davosian ideal world, end quote. The necessity to defeat, quote unquote, Russia became a leitmotif of the gathering, with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz declaring that to end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the Russia special operation must fail. The Chancellor called, and I quote that, the Chancellor called for stepping up military aid for Ukraine, but fell short of confirming that Berlin would send its Leopard 2 main battle tanks to Kiev, something that the Ukrainian regime, Poland, Finland, and the UK are urging them to do. For his part, Harvard professor Kenneth Rogoff, former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, urged the West not only to step up anti-Russian sanctions, but to create conditions for, and I'm quoting, regime change, end quote, inside Russia. And I'm quoting now. The forum in Davos is a congress of adherents of globalism, end quote. Konstantin Babkin, president of the Rosagromash Association and co-founder of Moscow Economic Forum, MEF, told Sputnik. Now it's where the kind of a propaganda comes the other side. And I'm quoting, these people would like to see a unified world where global corporations rule, dominating even the official state structures. What is happening in Ukraine contradicts their idea of an ideal world. Many multinational corporations had to leave Russia. So, Russia has fallen out of the control of the Western corporations. This contradicts their ideas about the ideal state of affairs. End quote. So that's the opposite view. We're saying that obviously Russia is outside of these guys' control by their own demise, by the Western sanctions. They push them out. The problem is with them, China will follow, and not only. While the Davos participants insisted that it is necessary to support Ukraine and to make sure that Russia obeys the rules established by the West, it appears that many countries have tired of the bellicose rhetorics, according to Babkin. Now, biodiversity, in quotation mark, in economy and politics instead of global unification. The Western-centric globalized world order is falling apart at the seams, with other countries adopting a non-aligned status and implementing their own scenarios and development in terms of their financial policies, foreign trade, and tax policies, according to Babkin. The Russian scholar argues that reindustrialization and strengthening of national economies could ensure the world's stability and the diversity of models. So basically, we don't have to, I have here a car manufacturing company, auto parts, and in order, I build it here, but I get my, whatever I need from Mexico, I get my tires from Germany, I get my, gearbox from Bangladesh or wherever. But if Bangladesh gets upset with me, I don't build cars anymore, unless I build my own factory of, gearboxes in wherever I am. So now you have to build everything in your country to make sure that you don't depend on other guys. Seems like, and I'm quoting, it would be nice to have different models, different states, different people, different cultures, the Russian scholar said, drawing parallels with natural biodiversity. And I'm quoting again, there will be Iranian model, Indian model, Chinese model, Western model, and rejections of globalism. I think this is a good thing, and Russia needs to develop its own economy. I can also advise Iran and China and other large states and state associations. I think that the world that Davos is promoting is so unstable. Well, uh, you know, and I'm quoting again, in the years to come, with the inevitable departure of Klaus Schwab from the scene, the forum will lose its relevancy and will become just another exclusive, overpriced Swiss club with entry ticket of $250,000, end quote, Luft said. And I'm quoting again, it has already become a symbol of elitism and arrogance, representing the garden of opposed to the jungle, to use Joseph Borrell's terminology, and the platform to advance Western priorities, end quote. Babkin echoed Luft by saying that even though the Davos Forum is likely to continue bringing together Western executives and politicians, it has ceased being a truly international platform and will never become that what some call the world's government. Well, it could become the world's government, but it would take a little bit longer time. It could become because, like in any country, you have, let's say, a powerful leader or a charismatic leader. He's got a few very, very, very loyal lieutenants. It don't have to be many, and with those, you just impose on others. Then the other ones will follow. You don't have a lot of people to impose your ideology. You have another group of the same kind, and once these groups eliminate one another, then the rest, the cowards, the weak, they will follow because that's why they're weak. They will follow. And therefore, you have people maybe at your workplace where today, let's say, is an idea or a how do you call it? Fade, I think it is. Fad. It's a fad, like today is a, I don't know, we're gonna wear our hair like that, and everybody does that, and the next day we all have bald heads, and we shave our heads. Some people with no personality, they like to belong in groups. Why? Because they're weak. They don't wanna stand up and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm like this. And that takes courage. Why? Because you defend yourself. You have personality. You have charisma. You are courageous. But no, you wanna fit in by with numbers. You're strong by numbers, not by yourself. So you find those guys at work when today they agree with this, and if tomorrow that's not fashionable anymore, it's not a fad anymore, they switch to this one, which is in opposition to that one. I met many of them, a lot of them, a majority of them. So yeah, they will be there as a group, and they will stick together because they masturbate in group over there. Basically, we are special. The other ones are just losers, basically. And to a certain extent, look at them. I mean, they have things that the rest don't. So obviously they can have a group masturbation. But anyway, these guys are going to continue to push their agenda, and they will not stop. Why? Because they got together. Once they got together, they will stay like this because they see the interest, the profit staying there. It want to be only 5 states over there. If they're the right states, they will impose to everybody else, or to the most states that they can push around, grab them, and make them do whatever they want. So yeah, it's on standby right now, the Davos agenda. See what's gonna happen with Russia. And after Russia, if Russia collapses and becomes Russia from 1991 to 1999, the Yeltsin Russia, then yes, Davos probably won because China will be like, shit, I'm next. And these guys fell. Who am I gonna lean on? By myself? Look what happened to Russia. It's true, China economically is not Russia, but nevertheless, we'll see. We'll see, including the fact that if Russia, let's say, somehow disintegrates, I'm not sure that some countries in East Russia will just take territory, like it happened, Russian territory, instead of allowing the West to take some, if you know what I mean, like it happened to Poland. Remember that story? Anyway, so Davos is Davos, and the fact that we still can take a peek into what they say and what they do, that tells me, they're either not that important, or they are so strong, or they think they are so strong that they can afford doing it in plain daylight, like a thief. If a thief is strong, he's going to rob a bank or he's going to go rob something and do some hanky panky in the daylight. If a thief or desperate, and if a thief is scared, then he's going to try to be more cautious. So I don't know exactly what these guys. I think both of these uh, um, are true in the same time. I think they think they're strong and all that, and on the other hand, well, we don't have to cover anything. Here it is. Do something if you can. They're strong. They are. They are influential. Yes, they are the most influential. The problem is you have this group. What opposes this group? What, the Shanghai organization? BRICS? Could be. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.